Okay, so I was having like an energy of, I don't know, I got a sign specifically like blue and black butterflies, um, black and orange butterflies. So if you've been seeing like those two specific things, I'm gonna like pull cards for you today. I don't know why, it's just been in my head like blue and black butterflies and orange and black butterflies specifically. So if like you haven't seen anything of that, not to say that this may not resonate with you, but it's very specific in that manner. So let's pull some cards to see what needs to be known. Actually, sorry, what I usually do is like I need to reshuffle these, switch some cards around. I know how people do like that little like, you know, when people do. I don't know how to do the card thingy like everybody else do. I need to learn how to do that, but I don't know how to do that. So my shuffler is like, you know. All right. So the first card we have Five of Wands. Okay, so for somebody, there's like a conflict present. Could be like with friends, people close to you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, not you falling on the floor. Okay. 10 of Wands. So I see like a potential, whatever this conflict is, it is like overwhelming, but there's also a potential of, with the 10 of Wands in reverse, I do see you releasing a burden. So what I'm seeing here is like it is a conflict that took place, but I feel like this conflict may have freed you from something that you weren't mindful was burdened on you, or you weren't aware was a burden on you, in its own way. So a lot of people, like, you could be looking at like you just went through some like conflict, friends, family, relationship, whatever it is, and in your brain you're like, you know, you probably could have wanted to avoid this conflict. You probably could have wanted to like not acknowledge it, whatever it is, but things just kept happening. And what I'm getting is that your spirit team was trying to let you know that this conflict actually needed to happen because this scenario was more of a burden than you were letting on that it was. The next card we have is the Two of Wands. I see whatever this conflict is, the release of it is making you feel better than whatever the scenario was before the conflict. So for some of you, it could have been like a strong attachment to whatever it is, relationship, people, things, places. It was like a strong attachment that you just felt overwhelmed by, and you, for some reason, didn't feel like you could leave whatever the scenario was. And that's why the conflict arose. And for what I'm getting is that once the conflict arose, you felt, for some reason, how do I explain this? When the conflict arose, you're probably avoiding the conflict, or you were avoiding having to deal with anything conflicting within the scenario. But with the 10 of Wands, I do get that like once this conflict happened, it took a weight off your shoulders. It took away a sort of perceived burden that you had that you were not acknowledging was a burden for you at the time that it happened. And then with this Two of Wands, I feel like there is an ability to stand in your power, but it's also you having to make the conscious decision of understanding that this had to happen. So some of you could be strongly in the energy of like you were strongly trying to avoid it, but at the same time, the connection was overwhelming. And with this conflict now coming arise, and it's giving you like a little sense of freedom, or it's giving you a sense to break away from something that you could have been like potentially wanting to break away from, something you didn't feel like dealing with, and you probably just didn't feel like you were in a place to like leave it or walk away, and that's why the conflict arose. So this is more of a spirit-led situation. So it's like the situation sucked, but for somehow you feel better from it. Somehow. The next card we have is the Sun in reverse. So I'm getting a lot of you mentally, you were really strongly wanting this connection to be something, whether it was with like a person, place, thing, or whatever. You were strongly wanting it to be with something. What I get with the Sun in reverse is that you're not necessarily privy to why it happened yet. So some of you could be going through the stage of like a separation or something like that, and you're like, I can't understand why this played out. But what your spirit team wants you to pay attention to actually is, how do you feel now that it's happened? Like, and not to say you should feel great, but some part of you feels better because of it, and it's very weird to you. And if you're wondering if you should like try to fix it, or like should try to help the scenario, or if you should deal with it again with the sun in reverse, I would say that this is a scenario that just is not meant for you. I felt like it was highlighted for a reason. Then we have the Eight of Cups in reverse. Yeah, like I said, you may have had, this is a scenario you felt like, hey, I need to walk away from, but you didn't feel like you could walk away from. And that's why the conflict that happened, this Five of Wands energy took place, because it's like, it's something, it was constant, or even it could have been a constant conflict that you just weren't acknowledging. So it was like a background conflict, or with it being in reverse, this is more of an internal thing. With this Eight of Cups in reverse, I would see it's more of an internal thing. Like you felt like, hey, I should walk away, but you didn't. We have the Nine of Wands. Stand your ground. Whatever this is, stand your ground. Whatever this connection was, even if you feel like returning to it, it's not the best time right now, because your spirit team just did so much to remove you from it, that it's like, for you to go back right now, it's not a healthy thing. And you'll be in the same place. So how you know this connection probably wasn't meant for you was because you could have been feeling overwhelmed. You could have been feeling extremely drained. You could be tired. Or you could just feel not good inside. Like you were maintaining something that didn't feel the best. Then we have the World in reverse. So yeah, you were trying not to like let something go. You were trying not to let something like end or complete. And what your spirit team is saying is not, this is not a blame game situation, what I'm seeing here. You may be like, oh, did I do something? Did they do something? This was divine intervention sort of energy. Like certain things had to be seen. The Knight of Wands in reverse. I feel like when I see the Knight of Wands, well, especially in reverse, I feel like it was more of a, you were looking at something as though it saved you. And that may have been the attachment to it. It was an idea that this thing saved me, that this thing, whatever this person, place, or thing did, they saved you from certain things that you were not ready to like deal with. And so this person could have came in like, maybe you were in a low moment, maybe you were very lonely, maybe you were very down. Queen of Swords. I feel like you're realizing it. So not even to say that you haven't acknowledged what the thing was, but I think you may feel more stressed about the conflict that arose to navigate it, more than you long-term looking at it and being like, this had to happen. Because you felt it. Like with this Eight of Cups in reverse, you felt like, hey, I should walk away. Hey, I should leave this alone. It's draining, it's tiring. But at the same time, it's like it had this energy of like, I'm saving you. You know, it came in at the right time for what you needed. Ace of Swords. I think you weren't trusting your intuition. Because what I'm getting is that there were certain signs. This is intentional blissful ignorance. And that's not even a bad thing, because a lot of scenarios that come up in life, you're going to have to deal with that. But I think it was taking too much of a toll on you that you may not have been acknowledging in front of people. It may have been an internal toll. Like, in front of people, you're fine, you're however you are. Maybe you're funny, maybe you're jokes, maybe you're like, oh, you know, extroverted, you're excited. But then like behind closed doors, I'm sad, I'm breaking down, I'm depressed. I feel, for some of you, I'm getting a strong like, is this what life really is? Is it even worth like dealing with? And with this Queen of Swords energy, I feel like you're starting to tap back into that energy of realizing what actually happened versus what you told yourself, like the original narrative you told yourself. So the original narrative is, I need to keep this thing. I have to keep it. I need it. Somebody's saving me. Somebody's helping me. And it gave you this sense of like, I have to be there. I have to support, da 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 da. But like I said, in the back, behind closed doors, you're like, I don't know if I want this. anymore. I don't know if I care for this specific thing. It's a lot of heartache. And there was also like a self-refusal to walk away. So you were keeping yourself here, like intentionally. And with the sun in reverse, like I said, it illuminated a lot of energy. With the sun in reverse, it illuminated... Oh, let me not say illuminated a lot of energy. You were willfully ignoring a lot of things that were being illuminated to you. Because when I say your spirit team was trying to show you red flag after red flag after red flag. Like they were trying to show you different scenarios of this not being a long-term healthy connection. But you wanted it to be that way. You really did want it to be that way. The situation, however it closed out, it wasn't because of you. It was your spirit team. It was intervention. Right now with this Nine of Wands energy in terms of like, but they're telling you to stand on it, you know? Like, I know it feels uncomfortable right now, but you have to get out of this complex. For some of you, I'm getting like this, how do I say it? I'm getting this energy of you being at probably like a really low moment, a really sad moment, and somebody came in and they had you. And I feel like for one point in time, this was very much necessary. You were in a very low state, and this thing comes in and it feels like it's saving you. It felt like this is everything I needed, whether it's like relationship, friendship, family coming in, however it happened. It was something that you're like, I needed this. And then when you got it, you started to get a little attached to it, and your spirit team is like, hey, like, are you paying attention to how things are playing out? Are you paying attention to what's being said, what's being done? Are you paying attention to how you feel internally? And I think I think you were closing yourself or making yourself not recognize it because you didn't want to have to deal with whatever it is. Like, you didn't want to have to lose this type of connection. And so you were just like, I'm just going to ignore it. And that's when your spirit team stepped in, because they're like, all right, you're ignoring it and everybody around you is ignoring it, but it's causing you heartache. Like, you're constantly in this space of, I'm hearing like self-doubt. I'm hearing like lack of trust. You don't feel like you could be vulnerable. For some of you, this is relationship-wise. For others, this could be like a family conflict, a close friend conflict. But it was just something like, it was something really intimate to you that you were trying your hardest to maintain. But they were like, it wasn't for you to maintain. It was for you to recognize. Like, it was for you to acknowledge, like, hey, this thing did an amazing thing for me, but for you to be ready to walk away. And you, like, with the world in reverse, you not really wanting it to be the end. For some of you, you could have been seeing 10-10 a lot. You could have been seeing, like, maybe 10-10, 8-8-8, 11-11. It just wasn't for you the way you wanted it to be for you. And I think that's causing more mental pain because you keep feeling like you could have saved it in a sense. You know what? That's also what this Nine of Wands could be. It could even be like, this person could have been a sense of a savior to you, but I also feel like this could even be you thought you could save this scenario. You thought if you took the right actions, moved the right way, handled things a certain way, that you could have prevented how this shit played out. And realistically, it had to happen the way it like happened for you. It's something about you had to learn to stand on your shit. This is more a test of character than anything. This is more a test of, would you trust your intuition? Like, when you're in a connection that you feel deeply bound to, what comes first, that connection or your intuition? And realistically, we know to say, hey, my intuition always comes first. You can't trust anybody, you feel me? But you moved in a way that was like, you were willing to dub your intuition because of the intimacy of the connection. And intimacy is not like only sexual led things. That's why I keep saying it could be romance, it could be friendship, it could be family. Intimacy is just a sense of strong vulnerability within a relationship that you could trust, that you can be a level of vulnerable with. And like I said, at one point in time, you strongly needed this, because when it came in, like when this person showed up, you were in a place of feeling like, I don't know what to do with myself. Things are not going great. I don't know how to handle anything. And this scenario came in to sort of help lift you back up again. But the attachment, because they needed you to recognize that this was only meant to be temporary. You trying to save it made it worse, because with the sun in reverse, like I said, you're ignoring what's already being illuminated. So your brain is like, I need to save it. But meanwhile, are you consciously aware of what you're telling yourself you need to save? Are you actually, did you take time? With this Ten of Wands, like I said, when this conflict happened, you released the burden. You released it. You had a burden that was like sitting on you. But are you reflecting on everything that took place, or is your brain just singling out certain moments where you were like, oh, but this was a really good thing? Because your spirit team was constantly showing you like the different energies that were taking place, like with your partner. Maybe they weren't like maybe they were saying like a lot of red flag things, or you realized things were a lot more overwhelming than it originally seemed like. And you wanted to save it. You wanted to. But then as you started to, like, things started to be uncovered, like, you know, layer, onion, Shrek. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but just Shrek, when he's like, you know, ogres have layers. And that's what you were recognizing. You were recognizing the layers of different people, or of a different person, or of a different energy. You were breaking down the idea of what it was meant to be. And not to say, like, I don't think you were being judgmental. I think, if anything, you were trying to lessen your judgment. You were trying to push your ego. I don't even want to say, it's the ego and intuition. You were trying to mute yourself, your inner voice, basically, however that came out. Whether it was your ego or your intuition, you were muting both together. And you were just trying to be like, no, it's not that serious. And then something happened that made you be like, no, it's that serious. Like, this is not a particular scenario that you needed to remain in the way you did. And what you're going to be working on now, let me just pull one more card. Six of Pentacles. So it was an imbalance. Imbalance of energy, imbalance of finances, imbalance of clarity, honesty. Like, you could have been giving more than the other person. You could have been taking more. Five of Cups in reverse. So that's what I'm saying. With this energy, once you realize, like, actually sit down and reflect, like, hey, what this connection actually was, you'll start to see the imbalance, and you'll start to get out of this energy of being like, it's in reverse, my bad. You'll start to get out of this energy of being like what you've lost, you know? Because with the Five of Cups, it's about somebody who's like, you know, sad, sorrowful. I lost this thing. I lost these type of whatever the situation is. Meanwhile, there's like something standing right behind you that you're not acknowledging. And with it in reverse, as you take time to reflect, do not go back. The Sun in reverse, like, usually it's your choice. It's your choice. I can't really say do not. I usually don't. But but with this energy, if you're asking, like, should I go back to this scenario? It's not good for you right now. You need time to reflect on what this actual scenario is. And as you reflect, you'll get out of this energy. You'll get out of this sorrowful, oh, woe is me, I lost it. See, Tower moment. This is divine. It was divine intervention for this shit to collapse. It was divine intervention. For some of you, I'm saying your spirit guides removed you before it got the complete tower. But for you, yourself, it was probably a tower moment, because you, like I said, you lost something, or lost somebody, or lost people, or however the scenario played out, that were very, very dear to you, very close to you. And for you, it knocked you instantly off your pedestal to lose whatever this was. But I'm telling you, this is like, it was not you. Does that make sense? It was not you. It had to happen. Your spirit team made it very, very clear. This has to go. You're not happy. And for some of you, I'm getting, when you're not happy, you don't know to leave a connection. Some of you don't mind sacrificing your happiness, because happiness for you is never long-lived. So you don't mind self-sacrificing the idea of what you being happy, or even the emotion, or even the energy of you being happy, because you were like, I was never happy for long to begin with. So it feels like if I'm not happy here, it's just because I'm not a happy person, and that's not true. The Knight of Cups. I'm seeing some emotional clarity coming in. Some emotional clarity being present. I would usually use the Knight of Cups to represent like maybe somebody coming in with the cup, but I think this is you. I think this Knight of Cups is your energy, your intuition, your emotions coming back in to be like, look, this is not what you thought it was. And that's not a bad thing. You're more mad at yourself than anybody is mad at you. So for some of you, whoever your spirit team is, that, you know, God, whoever you believe in, ancestors, whoever, you're more mad at yourself than anybody. And it has nothing to do with you. Like, no matter how this collapsed, they collapsed it in conflict because the conflict makes it so you couldn't instantly go back to it. Does that make sense? It had to collapse specifically that way so that you wouldn't have, because you weren't, like I said, you weren't willing to walk away. Something had to happen for you to walk away. Four of Wands. See, it wasn't meant for you. It was misaligned. Not to say that at one point in time it wasn't what you needed, but it was misaligned for you. So a lot of you are feeling like, some of you are self-blaming, self-deprecating, doubting on some like, how could this happen? What did I do wrong? It's not you. It's not you. Page of Pentacles. It's not you. There's clarity coming in. For some of you, your bag could have been on hold because of whatever this is, and you weren't even acknowledging it. You were like, or you could have been acknowledging it, you were like, let me not think about that right now. But Page of Pentacles, it's clarity coming in. Like this scenario, this Four of Wands in reverse, it just wasn't aligned with you, and that's not a bad thing. Whoever this is, you have to recognize that when things are not aligned, it's not always a reflection of you being a bad person. Some of you take it very, very personal when shit is not like here for you, and it's not that, it's that you're learning. Nine of Pentacles, you're gonna be fine. The security that you want is coming in. Right now you're releasing. And for if you're having financial problems, another way you'll know this is for you is because the release of whatever this conflict is, the release of this relationship or whatever this scenario is. Four of Wands, I could see a relationship, but I'm not going to say it's relationship-wise because there's nothing else to hint it. But as you release this, your money will start to flow again. Does that make sense? A lot of you, your spirit team removed certain financial aspects. Not to be like mean to you, but maybe you were being frivolous. The energy of whatever you were doing was just all over the place. You weren't being consistent. Whatever, it's something that you, and I'm hearing a bag. It's something you let fall to build this connection. Something that was like you needed to maintain, and as this connection released, you're starting to slowly gain finances again. Yeah, Six of Wands. Strongly self-doubt. You weren't being authentic. You weren't being yourself. Queen of Pentacles. These pentacles, your bag is coming back. Just focus on your creativeness. Focus on that creative energy. It's something about your creativity that's going to get you back in alignment. It's something about you taking that time within that feminine energy. Feminine has nothing to do with male or female. It's just the creative energy, the wisdom-like energy, the knowledge, the consciousness, awareness of self, the intuition. Something about once you get back into your creative things, doing the things you love, you'll see finances, but it's not going to be probably the way you planned it. So this could be you, like maybe you'll get a job, or maybe if you already have a job, your finances will be back in balance. But there needs to be creative endeavors, because I'm hearing like it's something else that you need to do, that you need to focus on now that this conflict has been removed. Page of Wands. Stop stressing about this connection. Page of Wands in reverse. Stop stressing about this connection. This had to do with immaturity more than anything. You're looking at it as though like, you took like a huge loss, but in reality, it's just, this was a learning experience. You were learning yourself. You were learning how you operate when you, how do I say it? You are learning how you operate within your authentic self when you are in a connection that you may feel like somebody's not being authentic, or you feel like somebody's not being themselves, or how you self-sacrifice in the connections where you feel like you care about somebody. That was something like to acknowledge, and that's what your spirit team needs you to sit with. They need you to be mindful, like, hey, when you got into this connection, you went deep. You went deep. And this is for all those, oh, I love hard people. Hey, loving is one thing, but loving hard, be careful, because when people usually say that, that usually reflects I love without boundaries. And your spirit team chop that shit up. Fuck what you talking about. We don't love hard around this bitch. We loved balance. We love respectfully. We love with space. We love ourselves first and foremost. So for all you like, oh, I love when I get in a connection, I go hard. Some of you are not going hard in terms of just love. You're going hard in terms of willing to sacrifice yourself for whatever this connection is. And that's not loving hard. That's abandoning yourself. That's leaving yourself behind. And I'm not saying you're doing it intentionally, but I'm saying you let your authenticity slip to gain and be a part of connections that you don't even feel safe in, that you don't even feel happy in. And you should never, you know what's playing in my head? It's not funny. Them people, like, it was a video that went around, I want to say, like, I don't know if it was last year, like, heavy during the pandemic, when somebody posed the question, like, which way do you turn your head to eat a taco? And, like, the boys are sitting in the car, and the dude's like, I turned my head, like, this way to eat my taco. And the dude's like, I just turned the taco. Like, and he's like, and the part of it that's like, when the dude's like, I'm compromising myself for the comfort of the taco. That's the energy. Like, I didn't mean to make that joke, but that's the energy of it. It's like, and you know, that's the conversation. You know, like, you compromise yourself for the taco. And it seemed like it's like compromising your character for the taco. And it's like, it seems funny, but some people really do that. They really constantly compromise their own self-character to gain the love, the validation, the approval. And every time you get a connection that you do that in, you're going to feel this strong sense of attachment. You're going to trigger that I love hard thing versus recognizing, hey, you love without boundaries. And not even just boundaries of others. You love without self-boundaries. You love by sacrificing self constantly. You love by ignoring and staying in a state of blissful ignorance. When you, I feel like you're not somebody slow. You seen shit. You seen red flags. You were like, But I feel like some part of you was just like I said, this came at a moment where you really needed it. And so you were just like, look, fuck it. I'll deal with whatever comes with it. For some of you, it was accepting flaws. For others of you, it felt like you were settling, but you didn't mind because whatever was present made it feel worth it. But this conflict is to tell you, like, it may hurt, but this conflict was to tell you, like, hey, you're doing all this sacrificing. You're doing all this self-giving away, and you honestly don't feel safe in this connection. And that's what your spirit team needed you to know. Is there going to be some moments in life where you self-sacrifice? Yeah, that's honest. Like, that's going to happen. But at some point in time, you have to recognize when you're in that mode and what type of attachment you have to the scenario. Because now the scenario is ripped from you, and now you feel a little out of place, or you feel a little inconsistent, and now you're like, wherever space you're in, you know. For some people depressed, for some people like sad, for some people overwhelmed, for some people angry, for some people you're arguing, you're going back and forth, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're like stressed the fuck out, and you just don't do that. Let it be. Let it fade for right now. Don't fight it. You feel me? Okay, so that was your reading for Black and Blue Butterflies. I don't know where I'm gonna post this, but if it resonated with you, thank you. Let me know. I said thank you, my bad. If it resonated with you, let me know. But yeah, that was your reading.